Guy, what movie? How about a Fresca?
How about a Fresca? I mean, come on. That's fantastic.
What do you
How
got?
about Ted Knight? I mean, if you remember, it was Ted Knight.
How about a
come on.
Fresca?
One of the, tremendous, one of the most quotable movies of all time. Ted Knight, genius. You know, Bill Murray apparently is like a real SOB, but just a great role by. And I know, by the way, I'll let you talk, but I know you had an affinity for the Irish-speaking lass in that one.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I love you. No, you don't. I tell you, I love Bill Murray in Stripes. Kind of like him in Meatballs. I don't like him in Caddyshack. I think Carl is a dopey character. I don't think it's funny. I think Chevy Chase. Okay. I think Chevy Chase is incredible. I mean, he's just I
think it's Ted Knight's movie. I mean, I know the Chevy Chase, but the Ted Knight stuff is just tremendous.
Might be Rodney's movie. I mean,
by the way, his wife in the shower scene. Hand me my loofah. I can't spell loofah, but I mean,
is that? I don't know if we want to go there, but it's interesting. Why were people drinking Fresca? Is there anything that at all tasty about a Fresca?
Isn't a Fresca? Isn't it like a cheap version of like a Sprite or a Seven? I can't. It's like a lemon limey type of thing.
Right. Let's make a lemon lime soda and pour something in it so it's undrinkable. Mm-hmm. I mean, it had a bite to it. It was like it had tannins. Anyway, I
know why you're asking me this, by the way, but I'll let you serve this one up like Beyond Borg.
Well, I mean, we talked about Dr. Pepper on Fast Money tonight, and again, just like the color brown, I don't think there's any reason for Dr. Pepper. I don't get it. I would dabble in occasionally a root beer, although I don't really like root beer either. Remember A&W? And you hold the can like this.
Sure,
hold the can 100%. Like that. Yeah.
No, I got a lot of time for root beer. Number one, I like a good root beer. I think there's sort of, and there's some very specific root. We won't get into it, but let me say this, and you can say I'm a whack job. I know, but Dr. Pepper was irrelevant or is irrelevant, and they somehow became relevant in the New York Post today because of some perceived shortage of aforementioned Dr. Pepper.
I'm not
what I said on the show? Remember what Colonel Potter used to say when he called BS?
Sherman Potter. Sherman Potter.
He used to say horse hockey. Yeah, nice. And that's what I'm calling on this.
Can you say that on TV?
I just said it.
I know. Are you going to get in trouble? I mean,
no, they don't get in trouble. But you know why I say horse hockey? Because they're irrelevant, and they're somehow now relevant. Not unlike Kodak, which has been irrelevant for a decade. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you went to the photo mat and had your pictures developed? That's Kodak.
Did you ever get into like a booth with like your best gal? Don't tell Linda this, but and maybe snuggle and get a couple 4 pictures and.
No, that is like carnival stuff. Although, let me tell you this. Apparently, like the bat mitzvahs of the world and weddings and sweet 16s, photo booths have made a huge comeback. Now, obviously, we're not in the age of doing anything, but when we get back to that, I think you're going to see a huge resurgence in photo booths.
We recently photo boothed at a school auction where, and it was kind of cute. We kind of snuggled and I used to do those with my daughter too. So I have to say I kind of like it. But let's talk about the irrelevance of Eastman Kodak, tickers KODK. And DK, very interesting. You know what that stands for?
Don't know, brother. I don't know that trade.
Don't know the trade. And that's what anyone who took part in this trade should be doing. This is when you go to your broker and you say, DK the trade, I don't know it, which is what people do on trading floors when they have a valid reason for not knowing it. This, people who chase this trade, and I'm not here to admonish the retail trader and the folks that frankly are following advice in a chat room or a momentum or some type of an algo that highlights that this is a company that suddenly could be going higher. I want to go after the company management on this because their track record, this is not their first rodeo with misrepresentation or perception of misrepresentation. And again, we don't know what the facts are. I will simply say that the fact that the trading volume in a stock that traded by appointment on the day before this DPC loan was announced was about 250 million shares or thereabouts. How do you explain that?
You can't explain it.
No.
There's no explanation, nor is there an explanation for a myriad of companies in this country that their core business is exactly what Kodak got the $760 million loan to do. So,
of course,
why forego companies that actually do this as their core competency for a company that's sort of vying for relevance? And again, we don't know what happened here, but we do know the facts. And the facts are nobody traded the stock for a decade. All of a sudden, magically, before the day of the announcement, it traded, I think, went from trading 70,000 shares to north of 1 million shares.
Yep.
And then the stock went from a single digit, a hat size, as we used to say in the business. I think it traded up close to $80 a share at one point. I mean, think about that. It's just preposterous. And now, and I know you want to say something, but now there's news out that they hired a lobbying firm in the months prior to this for whatever reason. I mean, it just keeps getting, in my opinion, just worse and worse.
Why should lobbying firms exist? And the whole concept of let's pay people money to basically go in and have chummy relationships, go out with cocktails with congressmen and women, and influence legislation based upon the almighty dollar. I mean, it's so absurd. And this goes on, obviously, in much more significant rooms and corridors and sectors in much bigger amounts. But if you think about the lobby groups that, frankly, let me lean on these guys a little bit while we're doing it. I mean, the pharma industry, that lobby group is extraordinary. And I can also just tell you, as a guy that spent a lot of time investing in cannabis and know a lot about the dynamics there. And if you want to know one of the main reasons why cannabis isn't legal across the country, it's the pharma lobby. No question about it.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know if the tobacco lobby has anything to say about it as well. But you're right. I mean, they have no interest in it. Clearly, I do think at one point they served a purpose. But to your why in this world where things seem to be somewhat democratized do we need these guys and gals out there pitching, talking about the pros or typically the pros of their industries?
And it's particularly galling that this is coming in an opportunistic COVID backdrop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that COVID has created an opportunity for this company to do what I think they're doing. Hey, how about good old Johnson & Johnson? Who makes medical supplies and is a pharma company and is perfectly positioned. And by the way, maybe needs to make up a little ground with the public these days. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Why wouldn't we just ask Johnson & Johnson to do it? And as we go into the fall, as we get into a winter without a vaccine and a lot of concern that we're going to boomerang and rebound, and are we ready? I think America's biggest and brightest pharma companies who are not only working on a vaccine should be working on these materials and these inputs and the PPP and the stuff that makes this whole Eastman Kodak thing sound absurd. Sorry to be so riled up.
I think the answer to your question is something that we both have very strong opinions on that, for a myriad of reasons we won't discuss here. But I think the answer to your question is going to come out in the wash in the ensuing weeks. And I don't think a lot of people are going to like what that answer is. And let's just leave it at that. Because as I've said before, there are many more chapters to be written in this saga.
It's interesting to see it coming out in the wash, and we were talking about old sodas, an irrelevant thing. Remember Calgon?
Sure. Take me away.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I'm glad you remembered that.
Speaking of take me away, you mentioned something on the show tonight about the starting, back in February, you were all fired up about the starting rotation of the Mets who play at Shea. And I said on the show, and I'll say it here, that I could have been trotted out there every 5 days. And Met fans, almost by definition, will become infatuated with their players. The beer goggles of Met fans are as thick as they come.
They're not beer goggles. I don't know why we're confusing loyalty with inebriation, okay? And yeah, I'm attracted to a good arm. Doesn't mean I'm getting beer goggles over a pitcher. I know how to discern a good pitcher and a bad pitcher, and we've run a lot of bad ones out there. We've had a tsunami of injuries, okay? I mean, Noah Syndergaard, who won the CNBC stock draft, by the way.
Sure he did.
And who is a great dude, big watcher of the show. Look, he had a little twinge. Next thing you know, Dr. Frank Jobe.
Look, we got to get out of here. But I have 2 words for you in terms of Mets starting rotation, and then we'll talk tomorrow. Zach Wheeler. I'll see you later.
Ouch.